Is there any reason your vehicle was seen leaving the scene of that robbery, sir?
A robbery? Officer, I just left my office. I don't know anything about a robbery.
Do you have any idea why I stopped you tonight, sir?
I'm afraid I don't, officer. Has something happened?
The blue and red lights bled across the windshield like a warning he never earned. Malik Turner eased his car to the curb, pulse thudding in his throat. He had been on this street 100 times, quiet, lamplit, lined with shuttered cafes. But tonight it looked different. Tonight it looked like a trap. The officer's boots struck the asphalt with slow, claiming thuds. Malik watched him approach through the side mirror. The man, silhouette tall, squared, confident in the way only someone who feared nothing could be. The knock on the window came sharp, knuckles against glass with the rhythm of authority. License and registration, the officer said. No greeting, no explanation. Malik handed them over, voice steady but thin. Officer, may I ask why I'm being stopped? The man's eyes slid over him, cold, calculating. A smirk pulled at the corner of his mouth. Driving a nice car in the wrong neighborhood. That's reason enough. The line cut straight through Malik, clean and brutal. He felt the sting behind his ribs. The humiliation, the disbelief, the old ache he thought he'd learned to bury. His fingers trembled against the steering wheel. Then the officer stepped back and pressed a button on his shoulder radio. Dispatch, run me a full check. Driver's acting suspicious. Suspicious. For breathing. For existing. Malik opened his mouth, but before he could speak, the officer's hand moved toward his holster, resting there, casual, dangerous. And in that fragile second, Malik realized something was very wrong. The officer already knew his name, and he wasn't supposed to. Jordan Miles noticed the flashing lights only after they painted the inside of his car in jittering red and blue. For a moment, he thought they were aimed at someone else. The street was empty, quiet, lined with closed boutique shops and a shuttered bakery. But the sirens didn't pass. They stayed behind him, pulsing like a heartbeat. He eased the car to the curb, exhaling slowly. Stay calm, he whispered to himself, barely audible. His fingers tapped the steering wheel, restless, anxious, unwilling to show fear even though he felt it rising. Boots hit the pavement behind him. Slow, heavy, claiming steps. Jordan glanced in the mirror. The officer walked with the confidence of someone who believed nothing could touch him. Broad shoulders, square jaw. His flashlight beam cut across Jordan's dashboard. A sharp knock at the window. Jordan lowered it halfway. Good evening, officer. No need for pleasantries, the man said. License and registration. Jordan handed them over. Can you tell me the reason for the stop? The officer smirked. Driving a bit too nice for this neighborhood, don't you think? Jordan swallowed. Is that an official reason? It's all the reason I need right now. The officer flipped through the documents, barely looking at them. Step out of the vehicle. I haven't been told what I did. You don't need to know. Step out. Jordan's pulse drummed louder. Officer, may I ask your name? Reed. The flashlight beam cut across Jordan's face, lingering like an accusation. You heard me. Out. Jordan stepped out, hands visible. Streetlights washed the sidewalk in a pale glow that made everything look colder. He could feel the air shift, the kind of silence that meant people were watching from behind blinds, choosing safety over involvement. Reed circled him. Where you headed, Mr. Miles? Home. You live around here? Yes. You sure? Jordan met his eyes. I'm sure. Reed leaned in closer. You nervous? You're giving me reason to be, Jordan answered, keeping his voice steady. Reed scoffed. I'll decide what reasons matter. He walked toward the car, shining the light inside. Jordan stood still, jaw clenched, heart beating so forcefully he could feel it against the inside of his throat. Hands on the hood. Reed ordered. I'm cooperating. I don't see why. Hands on the hood. Jordan complied. The metal was cool beneath his palms. He closed his eyes briefly, forcing himself to breathe. He felt Reed pat down his sides, far rougher than necessary. You carrying anything? Reed asked. No. You sure? Yes. Reed stepped back, suspicious attitude. Jordan turned his head. Officer, I've done nothing wrong. You keep saying that like it matters, Reed said. Stay right here. He moved toward his shoulder radio. Jordan overheard the murmur of Reed's voice. Dispatch! I've got a male subject. Jordan Miles. Running him now. Jordan stiffened. He had never given his name. He spoke carefully. Officer Reed, how did you know my name? Reed glanced back with a smile that wasn't a smile at all. Lucky guess. It wasn't on my license. You didn't look long enough to read it. Are you questioning my process? I'm asking for clarity. Reed stepped closer until Jordan could see each wrinkle at the corner of his narrowed eyes. Clarity's above your pay grade. The words hit with a sting. Jordan forced his breathing to remain steady. But anger pulsed beneath the fear. I have rights. You're about 2 seconds from losing patience, Reed warned. Keep talking. A door opened across the street. Someone stepped out holding a phone, recording quietly. Reed shot the bystander a warning glare. This doesn't concern you, Reed barked. It does if he's not doing anything wrong, the woman replied. Reed ignored her and turned back to Jordan. We're conducting an investigative detention. For what? Jordan asked. You'll find out. Jordan's voice tightened. I'd like to speak to a supervisor. Reed's smile returned, meaner this time. You'll get your supervisor when I say so. The woman with the phone took a step closer. I saw everything. He wasn't doing anything. Reed pointed at her. One more step, and I cite you for obstruction. Jordan's throat tightened. He could see the fear in the woman's eyes as she backed away. The world around him felt like it was shrinking into a box with no escape. Reed tapped his radio again, requesting backup, possible interference. Interference. Jordan repeated. I'm standing still. I have not resisted. Stop resisting. Reed snapped loudly, projecting his voice so it carried for the cameras. Jordan froze even harder. He knew the tactic. Create a record, rewrite reality with volume and authority. I'm not resisting, Jordan replied, louder this time so it carried 2. Reed walked toward the driver's side of Jordan's car. Vehicle search. You don't have consent. I don't need it. You actually do need. Reed cut him off by opening the door and leaning inside. Jordan felt the panic spike hard. His hands curled into slow fists on the hood. Please stop. That's unlawful. Reed ignored him, tearing through the center console, glove box, and back seat. Items clattered to the floor, papers, card charger, a notebook. The woman filmed everything, stepping sideways for a better view. Another voice shouted from the corner, Yo, man, leave his stuff alone. More neighbors peeked out. More phones lifted. But no one came closer. After a full minute, Reed stepped back in the car, and Jordan heard the unmistakable scrape of metal on metal. Reed held something up between 2 fingers. A small, folded silver packet. Look what we have here, Reed said, pretending surprise. Jordan's stomach dropped. That's not mine. Reed tilted his head. You sure? It's not mine, Jordan said again, voice louder, sharper. Then explain why it was under your seat. It wasn't. Reed stepped closer. Congratulations, Mr. Miles. You're now under arrest. Jordan's breath stopped. The woman with the phone gasped. A man shouted, That's planted. I saw him bend down. Reed ignored them all and reached for his cuffs. A siren wailed closer, backup approaching fast. Jordan stared at the flashing lights rounding the corner and felt the cold truth settle into his bones. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a setup, and now he was trapped inside it. The second patrol car screeched to a stop, tires grinding against the curb. Jordan didn't move. He couldn't. Not with Reed still gripping the cuffs like a promise. The new officer stepped out quickly, a slimmer man with tired eyes and a posture that suggested he didn't enjoy being summoned at midnight. His gaze flicked between Reed, Jordan, and the small crowd of witnesses forming at the edges of the street. What's going on? The second officer asked. Reed didn't hesitate. We've got a non-compliant subject. Possible narcotics. Jordan's voice cut in, sharp. I am compliant. He's lying. Reed shot him a side glance. You're making this harder on yourself, Mr. Miles. Jordan stiffened again at the sound of his name. You still haven't answered how you know who I am. Reed ignored the question. Mitchell, he said to the second officer. Pat him down again, thoroughly. Officer Mitchell looked uncomfortable. You already did that. And you'll do it again, Reed snapped. Mitchell stepped up hesitantly. Sir, can you turn around? Jordan sighed but complied. The man patted him down, more gently, more methodically. Mitchell's brow furrowed as he checked pockets, sleeves, cuffs, ankles. Nothing, Mitchell said. Reed's jaw tightened. Check again. Jordan turned slightly. You're not looking for the truth. You're looking for justification. Reed stepped in front of him. You want to keep that tone? I want to know why you're targeting me. Mitchell glanced between them. Reed, what's actually happening here? Reed answered without looking at him. Proceed with the vehicle search. Jordan raised his voice. He already searched the vehicle. He found something he planted. That made Mitchell stop cold. His eyes widened a fraction. Reed, did you? Reed cut him off sharply. Don't finish that sentence. Jordan met Mitchell's gaze. He reached under my seat. There was no reason to. Reed barked. Mitchell searched the trunk. Mitchell hesitated. Reed. He's right. There was no probable. Search the trunk. Mitchell swallowed hard and walked slowly to the back of the car. Jordan watched him lift the trunk, his movements unsure. A few feet away, the woman with the phone whispered. He's scared. The second guy is scared of him. Another neighbor nodded. They know something's off. Mitchell rummaged half-heartedly and then closed the trunk. Nothing, he said. Absolutely nothing. Reed's expression tightened even more. He stepped toward Mitchell until they were nearly chest to chest. You follow my lead. Understood? Mitchell didn't answer. Jordan saw the crack forming. Thin, but there. Reed turned back toward him. Since you want answers, let me make something clear. We received word you might be involved in certain federal-level disturbances. Jordan blinked. Federal-level what? Reed tilted his head. Meetings, policies, discussions above your clearance. Jordan felt a chill crawl up his spine. I don't have a criminal record. I don't even have a parking ticket. You don't need one, Reed said. You just need to be in the wrong place with the wrong influence. Jordan's voice dropped. What influence? Reed smirked. You know. Jordan stepped forward, anger rising despite himself. No, I don't. Explain. Reed's eyes glinted. Don't pretend you're not tied to certain Washington initiatives. Mitchell frowned. Reed, what are you talking about? Reed continued speaking to Jordan as if Mitchell weren't there. Policy work. The kind that undermines law enforcement. Jordan's breath caught. He had never discussed his job publicly here. Ever. How do you know anything about my work? Reed's smile sharpened. Because some of us actually pay attention, and some of us don't like where things are headed. The words landed like ice water. You're targeting me because of my job? Jordan asked quietly. Reed leaned in. Let's just say people with your agenda tend to cause complications. Jordan's chest tightened. You have no idea what my agenda is. Oh, I do, Reed said. And tonight's the night we put on record. Mitchell stepped between them suddenly. Reed. Enough. Reed stiffened, caught off guard. Step back. No, Mitchell said, voice low. Something's wrong. This isn't procedure. This isn't even close. Reed clenched his teeth. You're either with me or... I'm with the law, Mitchell said. And nothing I've seen tonight is lawful. A ripple passed through the watching crowd. Phones lifted higher. Whisper spread. Reed's lips curled back. You think you're going to make a scene? You already made one, Mitchell said. Reed turned on Jordan. Get on your knees. Jordan narrowed his eyes. No. Reed shouted. Get on. No. Jordan's voice was firmer this time. I am not kneeling for you. Reed's hand twitched near his holster. Mitchell grabbed his wrist. Reed, stop. Reed jerked away. Let go. Mitchell shouted. He didn't resist. He didn't do anything. Reed glared at him. I'll report you for insubordination. Mitchell straightened. Go ahead. Reed's breathing grew louder, harsher. You're ruining everything. Jordan exhaled, watching Reed tremble with rage. Officer Reed, he said quietly, whatever you think you know about me, you're wrong. Reed sneered. Am I? You don't know who I am, Jordan continued. But you think you do. Reed stepped closer again, jaw set. I know enough. No, Jordan said. You know someone told you to look for me. Someone pointed you at me. Reed froze, but only for a second. Mitchell caught it. Reed, what did you do? Reed barked. Backup is en route. We finish this now. Jordan shook his head. No, this ends when your supervisor gets here. Reed's face twisted. You're not in control. Jordan looked him dead in the eye. Neither are you. Before Reed could respond, the woman with the phone pointed down the street. Supervisor's coming, she yelled. A new patrol SUV approached, lights flashing. Reed muttered a curse under his breath. Jordan felt a flicker of hope, thin, fragile, but real. But he also saw Reed's expression harden into something darker. This wasn't over. Not even close. Lieutenant Collins stepped out of the patrol SUV with the slow, measured gait of someone who'd seen enough midnight chaos to judge it before hearing a word. Salt and pepper hair, a stern brow, eyes that scanned everything in a single sweep. His gaze moved from Jordan to Reed to Mitchell to the witnesses holding their phones aloft. He exhaled. All right, someone explain. Reed spoke instantly. Subject is non-compliant. Possible narcotics. Suspicious behavior. Evidence found under the driver's seat. Jordan cut in just as fast. He planted it. Collins raised a hand. One at a time. Mitchell stepped forward, voice tense. Lieutenant! The search was conducted without consent. No visible cause. Reed shot him a glare sharp enough to slice bone. You want to keep your badge tonight, Mitchell? Collins' eyes narrowed. Reed. Step back. Reed stepped, but only half a pace, just enough to show he obeyed, not enough to show respect. Collins turned to Jordan. Sir, did you grant permission for a vehicle search? No, Jordan said. I asked for a reason. He never gave one. He didn't need one, Reed muttered. Mitchell snapped. That's not how the Fourth Amendment works, Reed. Jordan's pulse hammered, but he kept his voice steady. Lieutenant! Please check his body camera. The witnesses murmured. A few phones zoomed in. Reed stiffened. Collins looked at him sharply. Body cam footage? It's on, Reed replied. Collins tapped his tablet, connecting wirelessly to the live feed. The screen blinked, static, then nothing. Reed, Collins said slowly, why is it off? Reed replied too quickly. Battery must have died. Funny, Mitchell muttered. It was fully charged when we started shift. Reed hissed, watch yourself. Collins ignored them both, turning toward Jordan's car. Show me exactly where you searched. Jordan pointed. Front seat, center console, back seat, trunk, all without cause. Reed barked, Lieutenant, he's being dramatic. He's not being straight with you. Collins raised a hand again. Reed, enough. He knelt beside the open driver's door, shining his own flashlight inside. He moved slowly, with the care of someone cataloging a crime scene. When he stood again, his expression was unreadable. Sir, Collins said to Jordan, what is your occupation? Jordan hesitated. This wasn't the moment to reveal everything. Not yet. Consulting. Washington-based. Reed scoffed loudly. Yeah, real convenient story. Collins gave Reed a warning look. Then he gestured toward the silver packet Reed had found. Reed, explain how you located this. Reed straightened, saw it sticking out from under the seat. Jordan shook his head. He had to reach for it. Deep. Reed barked. Lies? Collins asked calmly. Mitchell, did you see it prior to the search? Mitchell's voice was soft but firm. No, I didn't see anything under the seat. Reed whipped toward him. We talked about loyalty, Mitchell. Mitchell didn't flinch. Yes, we did. The witnesses leaned in, sensing the fracture widening. Jordan felt sweat bead at the back of his neck. His body was tense, but his voice sharpened into control. Lieutenant, look at my car. The seat rails are dusty. If something had been dragged out, there'd be a smear. Collins looked. Reed didn't. The lieutenant nodded once. I see it. No disturbance. Reed's face reddened. He's manipulating the situation. Collins cut him off. Reed, step away from a vehicle. Reed didn't move. For a beat too long, he stood rigid, jaw locked. Then he took 2 stiff steps back. Jordan felt the smallest flicker of relief, but only for a moment, because Collins now turned toward him. Sir, I need you to remain calm and stand to the side. I'm not making assumptions until I hear everyone. Jordan nodded. I'm calm. Reed laughed under his breath. For now. Collins ignored him again. Mitchell, walk me through everything from the moment you arrived. Mitchell swallowed. Reed told me the subject was resisting. I didn't see that. He told me to search the trunk. I did. Nothing there. He told me to pat him down again. Nothing. He kept escalating. Collins turned. Reed. Reed spat out. He's undermining me. I'm asking for your sequence of events. Reed's eyes darted toward the crowd filming. For the first time that night, Jordan saw a flicker of fear in the man, a crack in the armor of certainty. Reed inhaled sharply. Subject was hostile, argumentative, raised his voice, matched my step, appeared agitated, gave indication to conceal contraband. Jordan stepped forward. I didn't raise my voice until he shouted, "Stop resisting." Which you were? Reed said. Jordan fired back. You told me to stand still. I stood still. Collins lifted both hands. Enough. He exhaled long and heavy. I'm calling in a senior review tonight. We're done with roadside arguments. Reed stiffened. A review? For what? He's a suspect. He's a citizen, Collins corrected, and he deserves proper procedure. Jordan felt his chest loosen an inch. Not much, but enough. Reed's glare sharpened. You're protecting him. I'm protecting the department, Collins said. And right now, everything you've done jeopardizes it. Reed's face twisted. This isn't over, Lieutenant. No, Collins replied. It isn't. He turned toward Jordan. Sir, please wait by my vehicle. I'll speak with you privately in a moment. Jordan nodded, but as he walked past Reed, he felt the officer's stare like heat on his skin. A wordless promise. A threat. Mitchell stepped closer to Reed. You went too far. Reed muttered, You have no idea how far this goes. Jordan froze mid-step. Collins turned sharply. Reed, in my SUV. Now. Reed obeyed barely. Jordan stood near the lieutenant's vehicle as ordered. The night air felt colder now, sharper. The streetlights flickered above him, humming with electricity. The woman with the phone whispered, They're scared of what he knows. Another man replied, Yeah, because this wasn't random. Jordan closed his eyes for one breath, then opened them again. He knew 2 things with absolute clarity now. Officer Reed's actions were a mistake, and whoever had given Reed Jordan's name wasn't done with him yet. Jordan stood by Lieutenant Collins' SUV, arms folded tightly across his chest, trying to keep his breathing steady. The street buzzed with tension. Witnesses whispered, phones recorded, and Officer Reed paced like a caged wolf inside Collins' headlights. Jordan felt the weight of every stare, every assumption, every danger still hovering in the air. Collins stepped toward him. Mr. Miles, I need to ask a few questions privately. Jordan nodded. I'll answer whatever you need, Lieutenant. Before Collins could begin, Reed stormed from the opposite side of the SUV. We're not done here, he shouted. Collins spun around. Reed, back off. Reed ignored him and jabbed a finger toward Jordan. He thinks he's clever. Thinks he can twist this on me. Jordan kept his voice calm. I didn't twist anything. You targeted me. Reed stepped closer. You want to play innocent? Go ahead. His voice rose for the crowd. Stop resisting my commands. Jordan didn't move an inch. Mitchell shouted. He's not resisting. Reed, stop lying. Reed whirled on him. You think you can survive this department without me backing you? I don't need your backup, Mitchell said. Reed's face reddened. You'll regret that. Collins strode forward. Reed. Final warning. Reed turned his fury back to Jordan. Kneel. Now, hands behind your head. Jordan stared at him, incredulous. No. Reed took one step, hand hovering over his holster. Collins snapped. Reed, step away. Right now. But Reed didn't stop. Jordan felt the moment teetering, danger hanging by a thread. He stepped back just slightly, hands open. I'm not kneeling. I'm not resisting. I'm standing right here. Reed shouted again, stop resisting. Jordan lifted his chin. I told you, I'm not kneeling. Reed lunged. Mitchell grabbed him from behind. Reed, enough. Reed jerked free but stumbled, fury twisting his features. You think he isn't a threat? He pointed at Jordan. You know who he is. You know. Collins stiffened. What exactly do you think you know, Reed? Reed smirked. Ask him. The world paused. Jordan felt a familiar coil tighten inside his chest, the one he kept quiet, hidden, protected, the secret he'd kept for safety, for normalcy. But Reed already knew, and the crowd was listening. Collins looked directly at Jordan. Mr. Miles, what is he talking about? Silence stretched, thick as fog. Jordan inhaled once, slowly. Lieutenant, I work for the federal government. Reed laughed loudly. Oh, he works for the government, all right. Jordan continued, voice steady despite the tremor beneath it. I'm a senior policy advisor, assigned to the Presidential Task Force on Public Safety and Community Reform. Gasps rippled through the bystanders. Mitchell stared at him. You're with the White House? Jordan nodded. Yes. Reed threw up his hands, pacing wildly. Exactly. Exactly. He's one of them. The ones writing all the restrictions. The ones trying to strip us down. He isn't some innocent driver. He's a political operative. Jordan felt the anger sharpen. I'm a public servant. My work is policy, not attack. You don't get to decide. That makes me a criminal. Reed barked. You're dangerous. No, Jordan said softly. The only danger here is your ego. Reed lunged again, but Collins stepped between them. Reed, you are officially relieved from duty for the remainder of this investigation. Keep your hands where I can see them. Reed scoffed. You can't do that. I just did. The crowd murmured with shock and relief. Reed's chest rose sharply. You're choosing him over your own? I'm choosing the law, Collins said. Reed spat on the ground. The law is a shield for people like him, and a club for people like us. You don't see what's coming. Mitchell moved closer to Collins. Lieutenant, he's not well. He's spiraling. Reed turned on him. I should have never partnered with you. Weak. That's what you are. Mitchell didn't back down. Call me whatever you want. I'm not risking my life or my career for your vendetta. Reed laughed sharply. This isn't my vendetta. Collins asked, then whose? Reed froze, just for a fraction of a second, enough for everyone to see. Jordan whispered, someone sent you after me. Reed's lips tightened. Collins' voice lowered. Reed, who gave you the order? You don't have clearance for that, Reed said. That answer alone told the truth. Jordan stepped forward. So it wasn't random. Reed didn't deny it. Collins exhaled sharply. Reed, return to your car and wait. Reed stood still, vibrating with rage, breathing quick and shallow. Mitchell stepped in. Reed, go. For one terrifying moment, Jordan thought Reed would go for his weapon. But instead, the officer stormed off, slamming his patrol car door so hard the window rattled. The crowd let out a collective breath. Collins finally turned back to Jordan. Mr. Miles, why didn't you say who you were from the beginning? Jordan looked at the ground. Because it shouldn't matter. Collins nodded slowly. You're right. It shouldn't. Jordan raised his head. But it clearly does. Collins ran a hand over his face. We need to sort this out. And fast. The optics alone. I'm not worried about optics, Jordan said. I'm worried about safety. Mitchell approached them, speaking quietly. Lieutenant, I can testify to everything. He didn't resist. He didn't threaten anyone. Collins nodded. I appreciate that. Reed's voice suddenly burst from his patrol car. This isn't over, Miles. You hear me? This isn't over. Collins barked. Reed, enough. But Jordan didn't flinch. He looked Reed straight in the eyes across the street and said with calm, solid certainty, I'm not afraid of you. Reed's face twisted like he'd been slapped. Collins gestured toward his SUV. Mr. Miles, step inside. We need to talk before this escalates any further. Jordan nodded and walked toward the lieutenant's door. As he opened it, he felt every pair of eyes on his back, some full of fear, some full of hope, some full of warning. But he knew one thing for certain now. This wasn't just a traffic stop. It was a message. And whoever sent it wasn't finished yet. Lieutenant Collins stood between the flashing lights, his silhouette sharp against the glow of the patrol SUV. Jordan watched him step forward with an authority that calmed the crowd but tightened Reed's jaw. Collins didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. His presence alone shifted the atmosphere. All right, Collins said. Everyone stays where they are. No one moves without my say. His eyes landed on Reed first. Explain the situation. Reed spoke fast, too fast. Subject resisted, behaved erratically, and contraband was discovered in his vehicle. Officer Mitchell and I attempted to detain him. Mitchell shook his head. Lieutenant, that's not accurate. Reed turned on him. Yes, it is. Jordan stepped forward slightly. Lieutenant, I complied with every instruction. Officer Reed searched my car without consent and... Reed barked. He's lying. Collins raised a hand. Reed, stop. I'll speak to you in a moment. His tone carried a warning. Reed quieted, but barely. Collins turned to Jordan. Sir, I need a clear answer. Did you give permission for a search? No, Jordan said, and I repeatedly asked for the reason for stop. Mitchell exhaled. Lieutenant, he's telling the truth. Reed escalated from the beginning. Reed scoffed. You going soft now? Mitchell didn't reply. He didn't need to. The tension already spoke for him. Collins nodded once. All right, we're separating parties. He gestured to Jordan. Come with me. We'll speak privately. Jordan followed him to the SUV as Reed paced behind them, muttering under his breath. The crowd continued recording, but at a respectful distance. Inside the SUV, the air felt quieter, heavier, but clearer somehow. Collins closed the door and faced him. Mr. Miles, I want to understand what I walked into. Jordan inhaled. I was driving home. He pulled me over without explanation. He knew my name before he looked at my ID. Then he searched my car and found something that wasn't mine. Collins listened carefully. No frown, no disbelief, just analysis. Did you raise your voice? Collins asked. Not until he shouted, stop resisting, when I wasn't moving. Collins nodded. That tracks with what I observed. Jordan leaned forward slightly. Lieutenant, what exactly did you observe? Collins hesitated. A man losing control. Reed's been on a short fuse for months. Personal issues, professional frustrations. But this wasn't normal agitation. This was directed. Directed at me, Jordan echoed, yes. Collins folded his hands. And not because you look familiar. Reed is not subtle. When he decides to target someone, he believes he's justified. Jordan studied him. But why would he think targeting me is justified? Collins looked toward the windshield, where Reed paced like a man ready to ignite. Because Reed doesn't think in terms of right and wrong. He thinks in terms of threat and allegiance. Jordan's stomach tightened. Threat. Collins sighed. Before I approached you, Reed said something odd. He said you were one of them. That you were part of some agenda. Jordan held his breath. Lieutenant, Jordan said slowly. "There's something you should know." Collins turned to him fully now. Sensing the shift, Jordan continued, voice steady. "I work as a senior policy advisor, assigned to the Presidential Task Force on Public Safety and Community Reform." Collins stared at him for a long, measured moment. So Reed was right. "No," Jordan corrected. Reed wasn't right. He was informed. Someone told him something. Collins exhaled through his nose. "That complicates everything." Jordan felt the weight of the night settle deeper into his chest. "Lieutenant, did Reed know who I was before he stopped me?" "I believe so," Collins said. "His questions, his aggression, his behavior, they weren't random. They were premeditated." A bitter silence filled the SUV. At last, Collins reached down beside the seat, pulling out a thin folder. "I shouldn't show you this," he warned. "But given the circumstances, transparency is safer than secrecy." He handed Jordan a printed sheet. Jordan unfolded it and felt his breath disappear. His photo, his government ID, his name printed above a red stamped header. "Person of interest, policy conflict monitoring." Jordan whispered, "What is this?" "Non-approved document," Collins said. "It wasn't issued through legal channels, but someone inside the department wanted you watched." "Watched?" Jordan repeated numbly. "Yes," Collins said. "Not arrested. Not until Reed decided to take matters into his own hands." Jordan's voice trembled for the first time. So this was political. "It's deeper than that," Collins said. "It's fear. Fear twisting people into doing reckless, illegal things." Jordan stared at the paper, a cold truth settling in. He had been marked before he even stepped into his car tonight. Collins leaned closer. "Mr. Miles, I'm giving you my word. Everything you've told me, everything I've seen, will be documented accurately." Jordan nodded slowly. "But," Collins added, "you need to understand something. This is going to blow open. You won't be able to stay out of the spotlight." Jordan closed his eyes briefly. "I didn't choose this." "I know," Collins said, "but it chose you." Outside, Reed slammed his door and shouted something incoherent into the night. Jordan opened his eyes again. "Lieutenant," he said, voice steady now, "I'm ready for whatever comes next." Collins nodded. "Then let's start." Jordan stepped out of the SUV with Collins beside him, the cool night air hitting his face like a reset button. But nothing reset. Nothing calmed. The crowd still watched. Reed still paced like a storm waiting to break. And the paper in Jordan's hand, his own photo under a red stamp label, felt heavier than any weapon. Collins placed a steadying hand on Jordan's arm. "Let's move to my vehicle. You'll be safer there." Jordan nodded, though safety felt like an illusion tonight. As they crossed the street, Reed's voice cracked through the air. "You think hiding him in your SUV changes what he is?" Mitchell, now firmly on Collins' side, stepped in front of Reed. "Stop talking. Seriously." Reed glared at him. "You don't understand what you're protecting." Mitchell frowned. "I understand you broke procedure and violated someone's rights." Reed sneered. "That's what you think this is? Procedure?" Collins didn't look back. Mitchell, keep him away from the crowd. Inside Collins' second vehicle, bigger, reinforced, clearly used for command, Jordan slid into the passenger seat again. Collins shut the door, sealing him away from a noise. The lieutenant opened the folder fully this time. "Mr. Miles, there's more than just that one page." "What else did they create?" Jordan asked quietly. Collins spread out 3 additional sheets on the dashboard, a tracking summary, a behavioral prediction memo, and what looks like an internal threat assessment drafted by someone with access to departmental templates. Jordan felt a hollow ache form behind his ribs. "They were profiling me." "Yes," Collins admitted, "but it's informal, unauthorized, more like someone inside the department was gathering information, then sending it directly to officers like Reed." Jordan ran a finger along the edge of the pages. There were timestamps, weeks old, his movements, his appearances at local community meetings, his visits to City Hall, his car's license plate logged on 3 separate dates. His voice cracked slightly. They monitored me because of my work. Because of what your work represents. Collins corrected. Jordan shut his eyes. Police reform. Collins nodded. That task force you're on, it scares people who think reform equals punishment. Jordan opened his eyes again. Reform is accountability. I agree, Collins said, but fear doesn't reason. It reacts. Jordan's mind raced. So someone, an officer or someone tied to the union, collected this and fed it to Reed? That's my assumption, Collins said. Reed wasn't smart enough to organize something like this, but he's angry enough to act on it. Jordan exhaled through trembling hands. Lieutenant, this isn't just misconduct. This is retaliation. They tried to provoke me into a violent response. Yes, Collins said plainly. That honesty stung more than any denial. Jordan leaned back, voice low. If I'd raised my voice, reached for my wallet too fast, stepped wrong, he would have had justification for force, Collins finished. Jordan stared at the windshield, at the distorted flashing lights. They wanted a headline. Federal advisor threatens officer, or worse. Collins nodded gravely. I believe so. Jordan felt something twist inside him. Fear, anger, disbelief, all tightening into something hard and focused. I need to contact my team, Jordan said. I figured you would, Collins replied. Jordan reached for his phone. This is bigger than an arrest. This is a coordinated attempt to intimidate someone working on national policy. Collins held up a hand. Before you make that call, I need to warn you. Jordan froze. Warn me about what? Collins leaned in, voice low. If you go public, if you report this through federal channels, your life will change overnight. The department will panic. The union will call you a political assassin. Media will swarm. Extremist groups will come after you online. You'll be thrust into a national narrative you didn't ask to join. Jordan breathed out slowly. If I say nothing, Collins' face darkened. Then whoever sent this file will keep doing it. To someone else. Maybe to someone less careful, less calm, less lucky. Jordan felt that last word sting. Lucky. He wasn't lucky. He was alive. He looked down at the file again. His face. His name. His job. Twisted into a threat. This can't stay hidden, Jordan said. I can't let it. Collins nodded. Then I'll back you. And I'll testify to everything I witnessed tonight. Jordan locked eyes with him. Thank you. Silence hung a moment, thick with the weight of consequences. Then Collins said, but there's one more thing. Jordan braced himself. What? Collins grabbed another paper from the folder, one Jordan hadn't seen yet. This wasn't only sent to Reed. Jordan's breath caught. Who else received it? Collins held his gaze. A small list of officers, all known for resisting reform, all close to certain political groups within the city. Jordan whispered, so I was a target across the board. Yes. Jordan's stomach twisted again. Lieutenant, what am I supposed to do? Collins answered simply. You stand your ground. You tell the truth. And you let the system do what it's meant to do, this time with eyes watching. Jordan nodded slowly, gripping his phone. Outside the SUV, Reed watched from a distance, eyes burning with a promise. This wasn't over. Jordan looked at Collins, then at the file, then at the glowing screen of his phone. It's time to call my team, he said. And he dialed. Jordan barely slept. Even after Collins drove him home with 2 patrol cars trailing behind for safety, the night refused to settle. His phone buzzed nonstop on the kitchen counter, notifications exploding like popcorn. At 5:12 a.m., the first national outlet picked up the video. By 6 a.m., it hit every major platform. By 7:30 a.m., his name was trending. And by the time the sun rose, Jordan Miles was no longer just a policy advisor. He was a story. He stood in his living room, coffee untouched, blinds half closed. His mother's voice trembled through the speakerphone. Baby, I saw the video. Are you hurt? Are you safe? Tell me the truth. Jordan pressed a hand to his forehead. Mom, I'm okay. I promise. That man had his hand on his gun, she cried. Jordan, he was going to... Mom, Jordan interrupted gently. I'm home now. I'm safe. She sniffed loudly. Does the president know? Jordan sighed. My team knows. That's enough for now. But even as he said it, another news alert appeared on TV. A clip replayed the moment Reed shouted, "Stop resisting," while Jordan stood perfectly still, shoulders tight, hands visible. A panel of commentators argued over it, talking about him like he wasn't even alive, like he was an idea, a symbol. Jordan muted the TV. At 8:02 a.m., his doorbell rang. He tensed, but it was only Collins and Mitchell. Collins gave a small nod. "Morning, Mr. Miles." Jordan stepped back to let them inside. "I didn't expect to see either of you this early." Collins exhaled. "We didn't expect the video to go viral before breakfast." Mitchell added, "We're here because Reed's not taking this well." Jordan frowned. "Define not well." Collins exchanged a look with Mitchell. "He's telling anyone who listened that you staged the entire thing. He claims you weaponized your status." Jordan laughed bitterly. "Weaponized? I barely said anything." Mitchell shifted uncomfortably. "The Union is already circling wagons. They're calling Reed a hero who was ambushed by political operatives." Jordan stared at him. "I was driving home." "I know," Mitchell said softly. Collins continued, "Reed went to precinct this morning, off duty, shouting that your file proves you're dangerous. They suspended him, but he's not backing down. He has supporters," Mitchell added, "online groups, certain city factions." Jordan felt a chill crawl up his spine. "So now I'm the villain." "No," Collins said firmly. "You're the fuse they didn't expect to light." Jordan paced the room. "What happens now?" Collins gestured toward the TV. "This happens. Public pressure. Media scrutiny. Protests forming outside headquarters. Internal Affairs is launching a full investigation in 2 hours." Jordan shook his head. "This is chaos." "It's accountability," Collins corrected. Jordan looked at him sharply. "At what cost?" Before Collins could reply, Jordan's phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. "You started a war you can't win." Jordan exhaled shakily and turned the screen toward Collins. The lieutenant frowned. "We'll trace it." "Don't reply." Jordan set the phone down. "People are already threatening me." Mitchell said softly, "People threaten me online just for standing beside you." Jordan blinked. "Mitchell, you're getting threats too?" He nodded. "Reed, call me a traitor on his private channel. That's enough to put a target on my back." Jordan felt guilt twist inside him. "I didn't want anyone dragged into this." "You didn't drag anyone," Collins said. "Reed dragged us all." Another alert flashed across the muted TV. "Breaking. Federal investigators en route to assist with high-profile police misconduct case." Mitchell pointed. "That's why we came. They're landing at headquarters within the hour. They'll want to meet with you." Jordan rubbed his temples. "I haven't slept. I'm not ready." Collins stepped closer. "Mr. Miles, you're more ready than you think. You kept your cool in the worst situation imaginable." Jordan shook his head. "I almost snapped. I almost shouted. I almost—" "But you didn't," Collins said. "And because you didn't, Reed didn't get the headline he wanted." Mitchell added quietly, "You saved your own life last night." Jordan closed his eyes. The weight of that truth pressed hard on his chest. Minutes passed in silence. Finally, Jordan asked, "What do the investigators want from me?" "Your account," Collins said. "Your honesty and your evidence." Mitchell added, "They also want access to Reed's unofficial file. Collins already preserved it." Jordan looked between them. "You kept everything?" "Yes," Collins said. "Even the metadata. Reed's prints are all over it." Jordan exhaled. "Good." Another knock sounded at the door. Jordan froze. "Who now?" Collins peered through the peephole, then unlocked the door. 2 sharply dressed federal investigators stood outside, badges raised, expressions unreadable. The older one spoke first. "Mr. Jordan Miles, we need to speak with you. Now." Jordan swallowed, nerves tightening. Inside, "No." The investigator said. We're heading to headquarters. The department's command staff is waiting. This needs to happen today. Jordan grabbed his coat, slipping into it slowly. All right, I'll come. Mitchell stepped closer. Jordan, when you walk into that building, the entire city will be watching. Jordan nodded. I know. Collins rested a hand on Jordan's shoulder. And one more thing. Jordan turned to him. What? Collins' voice softened. Today is the beginning, not the end. Jordan inhaled deeply, steadying himself. Then let's start. He stepped outside, flanked by investigators Collins and Mitchell, walking straight into the storm he never asked for, but now had no choice but to face. The walls of the oversight chamber were too bright, too polished, too still, like a place where truth came to be dissected rather than honored. Jordan sat at the long wooden table, a microphone angled toward him, cameras behind him, and a semicircle of officials before him. Federal investigators flanked each side. Collins and Mitchell sat 2 rows behind, stiff as stone. The room hummed with tension. A councilwoman cleared her throat. We are here to review the conduct of Officer Daniel Reed and the circumstances surrounding the detainment of Mr. Jordan Miles. Mr. Miles, you may begin your testimony. Jordan leaned into the microphone. His voice was steady, though his heartbeat surged like a drumline. On the night in question, I was driving home from work. Officer Reed initiated a stop with no stated reason. He addressed me by name before reviewing my identification. He searched my vehicle without consent and... Reed slammed his fist on the table beside him. Lies. He's twisting everything. Officer Reed, the councilwoman said sharply, you will wait your turn. Reed sat back, nostril flaring. Jordan continued. He also shouted, stop resisting, despite the fact that I was standing still. The item he claimed to find was planted. Another board member leaned forward. How can you be certain it was planted, Mr. Miles? Because I witnessed him reach under my seat. Jordan answered. And because the dust beneath the rails was undisturbed. And because he never asked for consent. One of the investigators stepped in. We also recovered internal documents that indicate Officer Reed had been provided with an unofficial, unauthorized surveillance memo on Mr. Miles. The room erupted in whispers. The councilwoman raised a hand. We will hear from the officer now. Officer Reed, please present your account. Reed stood, shoulders squared, eyes burning with indignation. This entire situation is a trap. Reed pointed at Jordan, is a federal agent sent to antagonize police. I was doing my job. He acted suspicious. He refused commands. Mitchell stood abruptly. That's false. The councilwoman blinked. Officer Mitchell, you're not scheduled to speak yet. With respect, Mitchell said, voice trembling but firm. I can't listen to this any longer. Reed snarled. Sit down, traitor. Mitchell faced the council. Officer Reed lied. He escalated from the start. He searched the vehicle illegally. He shouted, stop resisting, when Mr. Miles was resisting. And he pressured me to back him up. Gasps rippled through the room. Reed threw his chair aside. You little coward. Officer Reed, the councilwoman barked. Control yourself. Mitchell continued. He told me there were higher-ups who wanted Mr. Miles watched. He implied the department was threatened by the task force Mr. Miles works with. Another board member spoke, voice tight. Lieutenant Collins, does this align with your observations? Collins rose, hands folded behind him. Yes, I witnessed Reed's behavior firsthand. It was volatile and intentional. Mr. Miles demonstrated more restraint than I've seen in my 20 years on the force. Reed slammed his palms on the table. You're all blind. This man is part of a federal attack on policing. He's one of the people tearing us apart. The councilwoman steadied herself. Officer Reed, your rhetoric is inappropriate, and the evidence contradicts your claims. Reed's voice cracked into a shout. He's dangerous. People like him. They want to dismantle everything. Jordan held his breath as Reed's face twisted, revealing something raw, unfiltered, and deeply ugly. Another investigator stepped forward, placing a bagged item on the table. The object you say belonged to Mr. Miles? It carries only your fingerprints, Officer Reed. Reed's eyes widened. That's impossible. No, the investigator said. It's documented. Silence dropped over the chamber like a curtain. Reed's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again, but no words came out. The veneer had cracked. The rage beneath was no longer righteous, only exposed. Finally, he pointed at Jordan again, voice breaking. This isn't over. None of this is over. Men like me don't go down because of one. Remove him, the councilwoman ordered. 2 officers approached cautiously, guiding Reed toward the exit. He didn't resist, but he didn't stop glaring either. Every step he took left behind a trail of smoldering resentment. When the door shut behind him, the room exhaled collectively. The councilwoman addressed Jordan. Mr. Miles, we thank you for your courage. We know the emotional toll is significant. Based on the testimony and evidence, this board recommends immediate termination of Officer Reed, formal charges for evidence tampering and civil rights violations, and a full federal review of departmental practices. The gavel struck the desk with a cold, decisive crack. Jordan didn't feel triumph. He felt exhausted, heavy, change. As he stood to leave, Collins approached him with quiet gravity. You did what needed to be done, but I know it doesn't feel like justice. No, Jordan said softly. It feels like the beginning of something I can't fully see yet. Collins nodded. It is. Jordan stepped into the hallway, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions, his name echoing off the marble walls. He didn't stop walking, because now there was no turning back. The news broke 2 weeks later, a headline sliding across every major network. Former Officer Daniel Reed indicted on multiple charges. Jordan saw it on a muted TV in a quiet hospital lobby. He had come for a routine stress test after nights of insomnia and chest tightness. The doctor told him it was emotional strain, nothing more. But still, sitting in that sterile room made everything feel heavier. Collins texted him moments after the announcement. Justice is moving, slowly but moving. Jordan didn't respond. He simply stared at the TV, watching Reed's mugshot fade into a panel of legal experts debating the implications. Words like civil rights violations, evidence tampering, and abuse of authority flashed across the screen, but there was no satisfaction in it, only a strange, aching quiet. On the way home, Jordan walked a long route to the neighborhood, the same streets where he used to enjoy anonymity. Now, people recognized him. A few waved, some whispered, a handful approached to thank him. Most just stared. When he reached the block where it all happened, he stopped. The exact curb, the street lamp, the faint tire mark still etched against the pavement from Reed's patrol car. For a moment, it felt like stepping into an old nightmare. He closed his eyes and inhaled. The sound of Reed's shouting still lingered somewhere in the back of his mind. The accusation, the threat, the fear he carried home that night when he wondered if people like Reed watched him every time he stepped outside. Then he heard a voice beside him. Mr. Miles? Jordan opened his eyes. A woman stood nearby, holding a grocery bag. He recognized her, the one who filmed the early footage, the one who stepped forward despite Reed's threats. You okay? She asked gently. Jordan nodded, trying to be. She offered a sad smile. I'm glad you didn't stay silent. A lot of people wouldn't have spoken up. Jordan exhaled slowly. Silence felt like another kind of danger. She shifted the bag on her hip. You changed things. Maybe not everything, but something. Jordan didn't answer. She walked away with a small wave, leaving him alone on the curb again. He stayed there a long time. Half an hour later, he headed towards City Hall. His team had scheduled a private meeting with community leaders. People who wanted to thank him, but also people who wanted answers. They crowded around a conference table as he walked in. Someone asked, Do you think justice was served? Jordan sat down, folding his hands. Justice started. That's all. It's not finished. A pastor leaned forward. Can it ever be finished? Jordan thought about that, about the file the department had compiled, the whispers, the surveillance, the fear, the weight of every room he entered now. I don't know, he admitted, but it can be better. The room fell quiet. A journalist asked, "What will you do next?" Jordan answered with surprising clarity. "Keep working. Keep pushing. Not because I want revenge. Because I want change." The meeting ended with handshakes, cameras, and more questions he didn't feel ready to face. When Jordan stepped outside, dusk coated the sky in muted gold. He walked alone, ignoring his buzzing phone. Halfway down the block, he spotted someone waiting by a parked car. Mitchell. Jordan approached him. "I didn't expect to see you." Mitchell shrugged. "Figured you deserved to hear this in person." He handed Jordan an envelope. "What is it?" Jordan asked. Mitchell's voice dropped. "My resignation letter. I'm leaving the department." Jordan blinked. "Because of Reed?" "Because of the whole system," Mitchell said. "I can't be part of something that protects men like him and punishes people like you. Collins is trying to fix things from the inside. I don't have that strength." Jordan placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did the right thing. When it mattered." Mitchell looked down. "Did I? Or did I just stop someone else from getting hurt worse?" Jordan didn't answer. He didn't need to. Mitchell gave him a small nod and walked away. Jordan continued toward the end of the street, where the lights of the cafe glowed warm against the coming night. He paused, watching people laugh through the window, their lives untouched by what had happened here. He envied them, but he also admired them. Life moved on. People moved on. Even when trauma anchored itself inside him, the world insisted on continuing. Jordan inhaled slowly. A passerby stepped close and whispered, "Thank you." No camera, no recording, just a private acknowledgement. Jordan nodded gently. "You're welcome." He turned toward the open sidewalk. The familiar hum of the city rising around him. His chest still hurt sometimes. His sleep still broke in the middle of the night. His trust still trembled. But he walked anyway, forward, into a world that tried to break him and failed.